Various forms of violence against women in the public places in India have always existed and been accepted as the norm, to the point of them becoming part of the culture. Over the years, these forms of violence have reached greater heights than ever before. This has led to limitations to the free movement of women and girls, which violates their fundamental rights, duties, and impedes their growth socioeconomically. Several measures taken by the Government of India as well as the United Nations have not brought upon much appreciable changes. An approach to eliminate all forms of violence against women is to look for definite and permanent changes. That would be by changing the mindset of the individuals, hence society as a whole, and finally the culture. This can be accomplished by starting to sensitize young boys and girls through gender sensitization education. Here is Dr. Sharada Jayagopal in a discussion with Asha Gambhir about this important subject.
Namaste, welcome to ITV. I am Dr. Sharada Jayagopal. Today our topic of discussion is End Violence Against Women and the role of gender sensitization education. I will also briefly address eve teasing, a form of gender-based harassment that is prevalent in India. Eve teasing is a gentle term used in India for teasing of girls and young women by boys and men in public spaces such as streets, transportation places, theatres, colleges, workplaces, markets, and even temples. The perpetrators are total strangers to the individuals. What used to be fun, complimentary comments or offensive verbal slurs over the years have taken an ugly turn with physical harassments and at times resulting in violent deaths of victims and also men who stood up to defend the young women. The survivors are emotionally scarred for the rest of their lives. Very young girls and the tourists are not spared. As per the UK-based YouGov poll, New Delhi is one of the 5 most dangerous cities in the world for women. Government of India is not able to pass any laws to end this form of violence, as it has been difficult to draw a line of demarcation between eve teasing and other forms of violence in the public spaces. Changing the mindset of individuals and hence the society is the only ultimate fix. The tool is gender sensitization education. One organization in India has taken a lead role in implementing gender sensitization education. We welcome Mrs. Asha Gambhir from All India Women's Conference to highlight us about gender sensitization again. Before we begin, I would like to thank Mrs. Satya Vishwanath for her continued support in fighting the violence against women, and I thank the staff of ITV for making this program possible. Welcome Asha ji. Thank you for accepting my invitation to highlight us about gender sensitization education. Please give us a background and history of All India Women's Conference.
Thank you, Sharda ji, for inviting me. This is a great opportunity for AIWC when we can project the work that we are doing since the past 90 years in India. As you will see from our website, we were formed in 1927, that is much before partition, before India got its independence, when women were in a very pathetic state and lack of education was the main concern of the women, of the better off women in the society. So since then, we've been moving on in this direction, trying to educate the women and give them economic empowerment, make them aware, and also give them their due right in the society and sensitize the men accordingly, where that their contribution is no less than the men's own contribution.
So this is your vision and your mission.
Yes,
Good.
definitely.
What are your achievements?
Our achievements are that we've made a big headway. Since the time we have been working, we formed institutions which for education, and then they will all become autonomous bodies. And we moved on. Right now, our head office is in Delhi, where we have a college of vocational studies. We have children. We work mainly for the underprivileged people. So these students who come here are given training or technical training or skill, or even given a graduation or a postgraduate degree at very nominal charges. We don't charge them high like the university or anything, and our timings are also flexible. And I'm very happy to say that it is doing pretty well. Now with the education, with the skill imparting that we are giving them, we hope that later on in life they will get economically empowered, which was the main goal of the organization. And not only in Delhi, but as you would know from our website, we have branches all over the country. We have about 500 of them, and each branch is working in this field, and we work in complete coordination with each other.
You build leadership positions for the girls?
Yes, we do. We train them. The first thing basically to educate them. Then we have further training. Then there are the panchayats over there. There are the self-help groups over there. They gradually become members of the self-help groups and the panchayat, and then they move on to becoming leaders. And we do have training programs for them.
I see that you have had great leaders in your organization at the inception of your organization. Can you name a few of them?
We had Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, we had Sarojini Naidu, and we had one very great leader who's not much talked of now because she is not very new, but Mrs. Raghuramaiya, Lakshmi Raghuramaiya. She was a great social worker. Today, in fact, I would very confidently say that AIWC was the first organization which had a working women's hostel, which has a working women's hostel, and it was Mrs. Raghuramaiya's vision that when we are educating the girls and the girls are getting economically empowered, they need to move out of their hometowns looking for better opportunities. And if they are moving out of their hometowns and looking for better opportunities, then they definitely need a safe place to stay. So we have provided them with a very safe place. We are in the heart of the city, and not only us, but most of our branches all over the country also have working women's hostel for the same reason, that the girls have a safe place to stay. There's a process for admission. When the parents come and they see the place, they go back home to sleep in peace, knowing that their daughters are safe. So that is a great achievement for the organization.
Good. Can you name a few more achievements of your organization, well-known achievements?
We are working a lot in gender sensitization, and we also run distress home for women, where we have counseling also for the women, and we rehabilitate them. Like for example, in the head office again, because the head office is like a kind of a model for all the programs that are being run by the organization. Not that these programs are not run at the branches also. We have a place called Bapnu Ghar, where we give shelter to women. Give shelter means we take care of their boarding and lodging. And we also do counseling and rehabilitation of these girls. Normally they are victims of domestic violence or rape or any kind of violence. Sometimes even girls found on the road who have nowhere to go, the police brings them to us, and we give them shelter. And there is, of course, in this particular project, there is a collaboration with the state governments also, because they give us token money for the maintenance of these houses. At any given point of time, we normally have minimum 25 to 30 girls over there. And we've had lots of success stories where we have, our purpose is not to break the family. The purpose is to keep the family together. So the first thing to do is to get the counseling done to both the parties, and then we rehabilitate them. We give them, we teach them some kind of skill, any kind of skill which they have interest in, so that they can become economically empowered. And at the same time, we sensitize the men that marriage is a two-way traffic. It cannot be a one-sided affair. If she has certain desires, she needs to be taken care of. And if for the women also, that the men, there are certain responsibilities as a wife and as a mother which she has to fulfill. So we've had tremendous success in that, and that again is another thing. Another thing we've introduced now because every 3 years we have a new management. So in our management's time, we introduced another project was old age homes, because this has become a big menace in the country now, because old people are not welcome, or they feel, because you can't blame anybody. The younger generation is struggling for their own existence. The times have changed. So this old suddenly feel left out and lonely. Right. We've opened old age homes for them. And the third thing we've done is we've given, because health is very important. So we've opened up health centers in the branches. Now all these are funded by the head office, and we give them a facility of, we fund them for doctors' fees, etc. And they normally function according to the need of the place. So that's another big achievement. And third, and another achievement is for gender sensitization, that we have started holding training programs or sensitization programs for the boys. Though the organization has been working on this field for a very long time, but nobody ever thought of sensitizing the boys as such.
Which is the most important. That is the root of the problems.
Yes, because we noticed that women economic empowerment was, a lot of stress was laid on it. Women did make a big headway, have made a big headway. But what happened was, well, the women were moving ahead. The men were where they were. They have not moved ahead. They did not know how to deal with this situation when the woman had started earning, or she was stepping out of the house, and how were they going to deal with such a thing. So it was important to sensitize them and to let them know that it's okay for women to work, because women's work has never been translated into finances. Her work has never been translated into money. So now if she is getting money, it doesn't mean she doesn't love the family, or she doesn't care for the family, or she is superior. They are equal. And for any society to move forward and be a success, the men and women have to be equal. Then you know that, okay, now the society is in a perfect, healthy state.
So where did this gender sensitization education start? Did it start from your organization?
There are other organizations also who are working in this particular field, but yes, I would say it started with us. But we have laid emphasis on it lately, a few years back only, when we have laid emphasis on it. And now in the gender sensitization program, we have groups of 25 to 30 boys whom we call, and we hold a training program for them. And they are, it's a 3-day training program. It's all funded by the head office. It's proved very successful, because the branches who have taken it up are asking to redo it over and over again. My vision, this is what I've been telling everybody, that each branch should do this program at least every 3 to 4 months, different groups. So when you've done, in a year, if you've done 4 such programs or 3 such programs, then you have educated about, say, 75 people or 70 or 60 people or whatever. be the number, ranging from 60 to 70 people. Now these boys, they become your brigade, and the catch is not to lose touch with these boys. We should involve them in all our programs, because we have lots of programs going on at the head office, at our branch levels. We have many awareness programs. So once we form a brigade of these 60 or 70 or 75 boys, by word of mouth, by attitude, we've changed their thought process, we've changed, and continuous drilling, continuous talking makes a lot of difference, because you are reminded every day that this is the way how it should be. In my opinion, it should have a very big impact. It's been 2 years since we've been doing this. Only time will tell us. I think another 2 or 3 more years to go, and then we should.
So you have seen changes in the past 3 years.
Yes.
Very good. Do you partner with other international organizations or UN regarding gender sensitization education?
Yes, we do partner with the UN. We are in a partnership, because we are implementing their SDGs, all the SDGs that the UN has set up. We are implementing most of them, and gender sensitization is one of this. Even in the Delhi UN office, we talk a lot about gender sensitization. And in this partnership, when we come for the CSW, every year, we have other NGOs who we partner with to hold programs. The last year, 2016, was very successful, because we had about 5 partners with us whom we shared our thoughts with, and everybody goes back to their own country with a big deal of difference in their knowing what to do. So that
have you brought this to the attention of Department of Education to implement this form of education in the schools?
To a certain extent, yes, because when we do these adolescent boys, as I told you, we are doing it in schools, and in schools mainly. College level is too high, they don't get into this, but schools, yes. So when we do it in the schools, the school authorities realize that this is a very good program. So in fact, last year, before my term got over, we got a request from one of the schools saying that they want a similar program for children from the age of 5 to the age of 12. So we started laughing, and we said, what would you educate of 5 to 12? But they said, no, you will be surprised that how much. So it's only when you work at the grassroots level that you come to know the problems the people are facing and what you should do about it. So that makes a difference, and that has made a difference. And another thing I would like to add over here, that because we are the largest NGO and we have our reach to the last person, as the UN says, the last person, you have to reach the last person. So we have access to the last person. So we are telling we've also told Niti Aayog, we've also told the Education Department that make us your nodal agency, and we promise you that all your programs which you are doing or wanting to implement will be implemented efficiently, because I wonder if you know that we are all voluntary workers. We don't get paid. None of us get paid for anything. Though I held office for 3 years, we don't get a salary.
You do it from your heart. Yes.
So that is the difference. They don't need to supervise. We do it because for the love of doing it. So that's the difference.
The great sage Manu, a great philosopher, has said, "Na stri swatantram arhati." I grew up with this, listening to this. But as Swami Vivekananda has said, that our scriptures are not properly researched or researched at all. And it's not just Hinduism. All the religions have certain rules when it comes to women. So don't you think you should involve the religious leaders, the religious teachers, the spiritual teachers also to adopt this form of education?
Now, religion is a very sensitive topic in India because it can trigger off anything.
That is so all over the world, and the root of the problem is common all over the world, and it's got to start somewhere.
We have not tried to approach the religious leaders or anybody because it's a very tricky subject, as I said. And one thing about AIWC is that they just do not like to get into any kind of controversy. They are grassroots workers. We confine ourselves to work, and we don't even talk too much about our work or publicize our work too much, though we are very well known at the government level, at the social level, everywhere. But we don't make a big show. And another thing about AIWC is we don't even get involved in any kind of demonstrations. So when there is a demonstration, we believe in the power of the pen. So that's where we confine ourselves to. And because when the triple talaq issue came up,
yes,
now that was a totally, even now there's a controversy going on in the
yes,
country about the triple talaq. And the religious leaders are saying, leave us alone, this is our internal religious matter, nobody has any business to intervene into this. So as I said, I repeat myself that we don't get into any kind of religion controversy at all.
In closing, what would you say in a couple of sentences?
I would say that AIWC's vision is to see a perfect society where women's work is recognized. She does work. She's the first one to get up and the last one to go to sleep. But it was never recognized. It was because she was confined to within the four walls of our house, of her own house. So she was taken for granted. But after she's got educated and she's become economically empowered, we need to give them a safe place to work in. And one of the steps taken by the government is the committee formed for sexual harassment, which I think is very good because it is proving to be quite effective. At least there is a fear in the mind of the people that we better not act funny because we can get into trouble. It can ruin their career socially, career-wise, whatever, professionally, etc. A good society is what I dream of, a healthy society is what I dream of. And that is what we are working towards.
Thank you. Finally, in closing, violence against women is a global issue. For an ultimate change, all boys need to be educated. Transformation of thinking can be achieved only by introduction of moral value-based education with incorporation of gender sensitization, starting at primary school level. The governments, the religious and spiritual schools all over the world need to come together and adopt gender sensitization education to end all forms of violence against women. The roles of parents and teachers cannot be emphasized more. It is time to act. Thank you for tuning in. For additional information, please feel free to contact us. Namaste.